I think, yeah, they ganked him 3 times and
Both
they killed him
ganks
twice.
worked, yeah.
The third one failed. That's the one he got away from.
The first one, the one with the DD as well, which was a second gank, I think. Yeah, and then the third one was a failure.
But still, it might be the approach for NaVi. At the very least, they're going to counterpick him here with the Nyx, one of the best counterpicks to a core Lesh. Mana burn hurts a hell of a lot. It's very easy to land a Spike Carapace that hits the Lesh. You just time it when Lightning Storm comes out and bounces you, or even if you just come close, like anything Lesh is running will stun him for the 2.4 if you've maxed it out. Love seeing the Shadow Demon pick, by the way, from Virtus, which I think is the first time I've seen it in this tournament. And it's been
been picked before.
Has it been picked once?
Yeah, I believe it was Nip, I want to say, who ran Slardar Shadow Demon together against a Bristleback team, and they used that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's been picked once. That's true. And in my opinion, been picked too little. It's a very solid pickup. Obviously, great setup for Lesh. Disruption into stun is very easy. Also, disruption to fissure is nice. And of course, Soul Catcher is an ability that you should never underestimate. Any state of the game, it's very powerful. And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, so Soul Catcher was changed so that it doesn't deal pure damage anymore. I think the tooltip is actually incorrect when you mouse over it.
It deals the damage
based on the type of damage you deal.
Yes.
Which means it stays on BKB targets. So if you deal physical damage, Soul Catcher still works, correct?
Yes, it does.
So that is actually very powerful. It made Shadow Demon a much better pick for the late game, where, of course, most of the time BKBs will just block Soul Catcher's pure damage in the past, but now it actually does matter quite a lot. And the question is what physical damage dealer VP are looking for. They're definitely going to be getting one as their last. Is there any obvious carry? I actually think this... All right. Speaking of heroes we haven't seen so much of,
yeah,
this is a first.
I think it's because of the Nyx off lane mostly. Yeah, this is definitely a first in a tournament so far, at least in the LAN finals. So the Razor is great in regards to being able to have your Shadow Demon and potentially your other support roam around. Like, you want to make sure that you don't have to commit the supports to that lane, especially if you want to secure G a good early game. And I think having the Razor Nyx matchup, it's very easy for him to keep you out of experience range, even on his own. Like, you just throw out the static link. Nyx has no counterplay to that whatsoever. He just has to run. So now NaVi need to decide, do they want to pick a secondary support, something like maybe an AA, to pair up with that Rubik, maybe give them some gank potential on another lane? It wouldn't be too bad. It's not like VP has great heroes at running at you outside of Surge. Seems like it would be relatively safe.
Yeah, I think AA is actually a pretty nice choice overall. They do have some decent setup for it for the mid game for the AA ult. They have Telekinesis. They, of course, have the Nyx Assassin, Vendetta into Impale.
Their wombo combo would actually be pretty sick. Like AA Blast, Gyro, Queen, like you would just blow people up.
If they land that combo, VP die.
Oh, Chen, okay.
Right. There we go.
Last pick, Chen.
Last pick, Chen. I don't think this is the kind of Chen game that we saw earlier where they just ran over Alliance, because VP actually have really good wave clear this time. They have Lightning Storm, they have the Split Earth, Fissure, Plasma Field, and of course Shadow Poison even. Like, there's actually quite a lot of stuff that deals with the Chen. So I think this is one of the games where Art Style really needs to get good early ganks, or his impact is not going to be comparable to that other game.
The last time we saw him play Chen, it was crush. Like, his first gank, I believe, got double kill was against Nip, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he just dominated the entire early game, and that was also a 5th pick Chen. So I'm really thinking that if anyone's going to have some impact here from NaVi, it will be Art Style and this early laning phase. And between Lil and FNG playing the supports here, Shaker and Shadow Demon, those heroes don't really match up well against Chen at all. So if Art Style maybe doesn't even get kills, but at least pressures lanes a little bit to allow the Queen maybe to pull ahead. If the Queen gets a level advantage on Leshrac, you can even find solo kills. Like, Lesh has 1.5 strength game. He is paper. He absolutely needs items to be able to tank up. So I think that it could be very impactful for the in the early game.
And one last thing I would like to mention here for NaVi's choice of getting the Chen is, with the Razor last pick for VP, they know it's a mid-Lesh. That's actually a pretty important piece of information, because Razor does not have a good matchup against Quap at all. So they're forced to put their Lesh mid, and that means NaVi can start planning for the fact, okay, there's absolutely no way it's a safe lane Lesh for Illidan. Definitely will be G running the mid lane, and I think they're really aiming to shut him down with the Chen here for sure, together with Rubik. Some good early ganks.
We're going to see a lot of emphasis on mid here, probably from NaVi for the second game in a row, making sure that G does not get the start that he is looking for. I gotta say though, even if that happens, we gotta assume that Illidan's gonna have a great time bottom. Like, what in the hell is a Nyx gonna do in this 1v1? And there's, I guess you could potentially try to keep some pressure on mid and bottom if you're Art Style, but you don't really want to try to have to control 2 lanes as a Chen. Like, ideally you gank like once or twice, you win a lane, and then you just go back and you farm a mech or something like that, or you group up when you get level 6 and you try to push. Like, you don't really want to have to spend all your early game ganking.
Yeah, and it's got to be mid. That's the priority. As we are looking for the first runes to spawn. I think it's just going to be a flat-out trade. If Kvos tries with his top rune, he is going to be toast. And
he knows.
Yeah, he is just going to give that away, and the bottom rune is going to go to Dendi. So mid laners for both sides getting the bounties as per usual. I don't really think this favors one of them clearly. I think they both have pretty good benefits from hitting level 2 early. And it's more or less just going to be a farm lane.
Yeah, this one is... I think the Lesh maybe has a tiny edge, but it's one of those things where if you're very experienced playing against Lesh, which most mid players probably are now at this point because he's picked so frequently, you're probably just very good at avoiding lightning. Like, that's the real problem, is if maybe you get caught a handful of times, it can just be a really unfavorable trade for you, and G just showing right there, and just getting that stun off, he kind of equalizes the Shadow Strike just straight away.
We're going to see Dendi ferrying in a salve, same for G. So both of them know that this will be a lane where, yes, they're definitely going to focus on farming, but at the same time, they want to try to poke and harass as much as they can whenever there is a possibility. So they're both prepared for the exchange of spell damage here. The question is who's going to make the first rotation. So Artstyle starting in the jungle. He's starting without a smoke. He could buy one right now and send it out if he wanted to go for some early aggression. We've been focusing a lot on the possibility for Navi to gank this mid lane, but we haven't talked too much about VP, who are going to make a very failed gank.
That was hey, we're here.
Remotely close, just maybe trying to get into Dendi's head a little bit there, but...
I think even just showing kind of deters Artstyle from wanting to show himself, because he will eventually come down the hill. G.
Are you sure?
He's going to get Shadow Struck. Okay, support's not in the right time at the right place at all. Dendi, he goes for the, or excuse me, G went for the stun, but he will go down. Attempted denial from FNG, not going to work. Disrupt comes off here onto Dendi. He's already used his blink. That's level 1. It's going to be on cooldown for a very long time. They do end up getting a counter kill. FNG gets another Shadow Strike. Is there a Hadouken up? It's in 2 seconds. He's going to try to tango, bring himself in. He even throws out the smoke to try to dodge.
What a play!
Hadouken misses!
Oh, he's still dead.
Is he? Oh, yeah, he is.
But what a try.
That was a very nice attempt. That stun from G was so close to landing on that blink to high ground.
Yeah, that would have changed it a lot, because then it would have just been a 1-for-1 exchange, and they wouldn't have chased anything there, but... Wow. What a play in the heat of the moment from FNG to try there. Almost.
I think the idea coming out from VP had to have been, we'll make it so Artstyle has less incentive to gank mid because we're showing ourselves, and we might be like right there. And then Artstyle just casually walks up like 5 seconds later. He's like, nah, I got this. No big deal. Funnick, he's going to get fissure blocked here. He does have boots. Illidan, though, he gets his link broken in the end. Not going to be able to soak up enough damage to kill.
Oh, and Lil's going to get caught by Soniko here. Takes advantage of the fissure blocking Lil's path as well, and now Funnick is going to come in. This should be a pretty easy kill if this lands. Oh, it does.
Well, that looked a little bit strange. Funnick is going to receive a static link here. Will fall back.
Another really good early game for Navi so far, and getting off on the right foot with Chen is super important. He is one of those very snowbally supports that can really take over a game, and Artstyle having the early game he was looking for. However, we should mention, like, the focus was on the mid lane, but Dendi is getting really out-farmed, actually. Surprisingly, after the exchange there, Dendi's 7 CS to the 16 of G. He is an incredible mid laner mechanically, and showing us here how much you can do even after this exchange mid.
I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that Lightning Storm costs almost no mana, and it's just like free damage. Anytime Dendi goes for a CS, you can throw it out. He'll either have to make the decision to get the CS or just take the damage. And in a lot of cases, you kind of just have to run it off. Like, you can't really just continually go for CS when you're constantly getting harassed. And Dendi, blinking forward here, gets a Shadow Strike. Lightning Storm going to be thrown out to slow.
Oh, good
there is a
telekinesis.
disruption. The Centaur Stomp's there, though. He waited it out. He's going to be able to get it onto G. They're going to be able to take him down here, no problem. NaVi get another kill. That was a very nice Centaur Stomp cancel by Artstyle. Like, he was very close to throwing that out.
And yeah, without that, they actually might even lose a hero of their own if they try to kill him after, as Fissure bottom.
Nice TP.
Yeah. For that Fissure. Until Aftershock is available for Lil.
You actually have to be level 3 to stop a TP after a Fissure, period. Like, can't do it any other way.
And the question is if he's going to skill that in level 3, the Aftershock. It's a little bit of an unusual build, I would say, but maybe for this kind of scenario, he could catch him by surprise, as most Shakers at that point will skill 2-1-0.
That kind of depends, I guess, on what his game plan is. If he wants to just sit here and camp and then let FNG sit mid, he could probably get away with doing that. But otherwise, I think he just goes for the standard build.
So what's happening on the top lane? We've been looking a lot at the bottom and mid, which is of course where the action has been happening, but ever so quietly, Phobos and Kvos have been more or less trading farm. Both of them sitting on level 5.
Uh-oh, G.
As mid lane again.
Yeah, they do not want G to get a good start. That is death number 3, by the way, and 4.5 minutes into this game number 2. I got a feel for him, man. There's got to be some level of frustration going on when you are getting focused this much. The crazy thing is, he's still #1 CS. 3 deaths, highest farm.
I think he's not highest on the net worth, though.
Well, not net worth, but like creep
He's pretty
kills.
far down.
That's kind of insane to think about. Like, Dendi has gotten 3 ganks. He's 3-1, but he has 10 less creep kills.
It's still obviously a very advantageous situation for him in the mid lane. He's ahead by about 300 experience, so should be getting level 6 at a good timing. And that's what we talked about pre-game. They might be able to just solo kill with the Quap at that point if he gets any sort of opening onto G, who currently sits on 663 health. Is an easy kill. Disruption into Fissure. Funnick with a good timing there. On the Carapace, though, trying to make a break for it. I do not think he's going to make it out of that. No, oh, maybe.
Stun misses. Team's coming in. Sonico's there with the lift. They want to try to turn it. Maybe not. Funnick going for a little bit of a bait here. Dendi is not level 6 just yet. Funnick very low, along with Lil. Lil's going to be the first one to drop. Artstyle joins the fray. G going to be dropping for the 4th time. Dendi hitting level 6 off that kill. He's got 11 stick charges. If they want to dive this, they can. Funnick misses on the stun. They're going to cancel cast on the Sonic Wave. They just want to dive this and ensure they get the kill, and that's going to be easy peasy. No ult necessary coming out from Dendi. Illidan, he teleports in, but that's only a level 2 plasma field, not really dealing that much damage now. He throws out a link. Dendi has enough mana for the ulti. He also expends it trying to take down Illidan. Not going to be enough damage, though, as Lil's nearby for a defensive fissure.
Na'Vi are mega deadly in the early game. They've been playing so well around the mid lane in both games here. Knowing their limits, not taking a single casualty on that dive. Just beautiful exchange of like combinations of spells and who's tanking the tower. Like how they're rotating it around is very, very beautiful to watch. Yeah, missing a TP from the Razor there, I feel. Illidan coming in a little bit too late. Might have been able to help out a lot. If nothing else, then at least deter Na'Vi from getting the extra bonus kills they found toward the end.
Yeah, and right now we are seeing the suffering of a Leshrac. He's level 5 right now at 6.5 minutes. Dendi, on the other hand, he's halfway to level 7. And the health difference is starting to show. Like Lesh, even with a couple of branches, only sitting on 600 HP. Even a Rubik, who's not notorious for being a high damage support, can almost secure a kill guaranteed with just Fade Bolt because of how little health that hero actually has. So everything considered, I would honestly say that Na'Vi looking in fantastic shape so far.
Yeah, it's a 2.5k gold lead for them right now, 1,000 on the experience, and Artstyle will, like you said, he won the lane he wanted to. So he can farm the mech now if he desires, and I think that might be the good play here because Phobos, of course, by the nature of having a one-on-one lane on Darkseer, will probably have a decently timed mech for VP, and that could give them a comeback in terms of the team fight, being able to negate the damage from Sonic Wave more or less with a mech pop. And now we need to be careful. I feel like that's more or less the only real avenue of comeback right now for VP is getting that mech and finding a team fight. So if they prepare well for that by getting level 6 and mech on Chen, they are balling.
Alt disruption here in the top lane. They're going to look for a kill onto Havos. That damage is absolutely insane. The cooldown's going to clip on both Phobos and FNG. They want to try to get some return kill here. There is a Dark Troll Summoner going to net up on Phobos. He wants to go for the kill on FNG. Has a Dukin. Will be able to get 1 kill himself. Artstyle now on a killing spree. Ends up being a 1-for-1. Obviously losing the core. Not the best, but I just want to go back to what you were talking about in terms of mech. So we're also going to see Sonico doing some dewarding here. If you get mech, you still have a Nyx to worry about. Like, that's really the problem. Even if you have mech for the team fight, unless you're getting all your spells off very quickly, that Nyx in the later stages of the game is just going to brutalize your Lesh. And G hasn't even had a good start. So he doesn't have that avenue of, oh, I just have good farm and can get an early BKB. Now it's, oh, I've died 4 times, and there's a Nyx on the other team. This is like a nightmarish game for G.
And even in BKB, he's not necessarily safe. Sonic Wave pierces it. If he takes a little bit of damage before using it, he could probably just die to a couple of flat cannon attacks as well. So that's not even a safe build-up. It's looking very, very good for Na'Vi. They're surprisingly only 2,000 ahead. Like, when you see this early game, 9 minutes in, they're 9-2. You usually see teams having pretty big leads, but
they're all farming
Virtus
very
Pro
well,
holding
though.
their own with as far as CS goes. That's really keeping them in the game right now.
Yeah, well, I think Artstyle might go for another gank here. They're smoked up inside of the woods. Havos is actually going to be joining the party this time, as well as Funnick, who does have Vendetta up in about 5 seconds. This is a very strong timing. I think maybe for the first time this game, they might gank another lane other than mid, at least from the path they're taking right now, which I'm sure G will be happy about in the end, but I'm not sure Illidan or FNG are going to be feeling the same way.
Yay, my team got ganked.
Instead of me. I mean, you got to take what you can get sometimes, right?
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for them is that it's probably going to result in 2 kills by the way they're engaging here. FNG is in a really bad position. Very quick on the disruption. Might actually buy him some time.
Yeah,
very little time.
Not going to buy his life, though. G actually teleports to the bottom lane. He's almost dead already. The Hadouken comes out. He just gets nuked down by Artstyle Satyr. Lil?
The stolen fissure too.
Oh my god, the Shaker's actually 2 levels below the Rubik right now. Dendi with the haster and throws out the Sonic Wave, gets a kill. Illidan now, panic stations are manned. He teleports out, Funnick going for the stun. A little bit too slow, not going to be able to get that. But they do manage to get art style. So I guess it wasn't like a total disaster, but NaVi are clearly coming out on all these trades. And the more heroes that get involved in the fights, the better it is for NaVi to win the fights, because instead of VP farming in other lanes, which has been the case for the first couple of ganks on mid, now they're actually all going to the fights and still losing.
Yeah, the only hero who didn't join was Darkseer. He had cooldown on TP, so NaVi taking the gank when Darkseer has already ported to the top lane, securing them that they're outnumbering VP, and another great execution. I think it's only a matter of time before NaVi start thinking about Roshan. The mech is almost up on Chen. He's level 7. With the Chen creeps in there, they'll probably be able to do it.
Here comes a stun follow-up. Nicely timed by G. They will be able to take down the Queen of Pain.
Such a big kill.
Yeah, that was a mega kill streak. It even goes to Lil, which arguably I would say is pretty good in this situation.
I think they would have preferred to have it on G, but definitely the second best. G needs a comeback, but he still gets some decent assist gold there. And more importantly, maybe a little bit of time to just feel safe in the mid lane and farm up. Even though, yeah, he has a sentry, so he can't feel safe from the Nyx.
If you've had this kind of start and you're G, do you actually just opt to go like treads into health items? Because if you build any
straight vitality boost.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good pickup. Like,
I think so too.
Otherwise, if you get any stats, obviously mana burn is going to be more effective towards your hero. I even think like BKB rushing might not even be that bad of an idea. Like, even though it might not keep him 100% safe, at least you're kind of Nyx proof. And I feel like if he's not, Funnick has not had that bad of a game. He's the same level as G. Like, sure, G's almost 9, but they're both level 8 right now.
Yeah. I could agree with that. I think Vitality Booster into BKB is too greedy at this point. So it's not the BKB rush he's going for. I think it's going to delay his mana gain way too much, and he won't be able to do enough. I'm wondering if he's considering an Atos this game with buying Vitality Booster first, because when you look at the value you get out of getting a point booster relative to the Vitality Booster on a hero like Lesh, it's 100 gold less, but what you get out of the point booster is just way better on this hero. It really needs the mana pool, and I don't think Atos is good though.
No,
it gives him more int against Nyx.
Yeah, it's 30 int.
How to die faster, basically.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best situation for G. It's really tough when you have to think of one item that's just going to impact the game so huge, because you look at Lesh, and this is a hero who's supposed to be in the fight all the time, has very big impact in most of the games that we see him. And as you mentioned before, I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the combination of a Shaker Lesh opening actually lose a game. So right now, NaVi doing a very good job of putting a little bit of scratch on that record, but
oh, mid lane.
Yeah, he's
very close to the disruption. Would have been an easy kill. They had the follow of both Shaker and Lesh.
Dendi's even going for the very fast BKB, I would imagine.
I think it's perfect for his team to get this here.
Yeah. I mean, with the kind of setup that they have, a disruption almost guarantees a death if you don't have BKB. But you can also blink in very aggressively with this item, as VP have virtually no physical damage at all, unless for some reason the Razor manages to get off a good link, which is very unlikely given the circumstance.
What's Razor going for?
I actually think he might go pipe.
You think just flat out pipe right away?
I mean, what else is he going to... I don't think it's going to be Vanguard. I think Vanguard is extremely mediocre against those heroes.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I think pipe is maybe the go-to here. Is there any other item that we're not thinking about?
I don't know. I was thinking, well, Lotus Orb is one of the new ones, but it doesn't really seem that good either.
Yeah.
It's got to be a pipe, which is, of course, great against both Call Down, Scream, and the Nyx. But still does nothing against both Flat Cannon and Sonic, which is going to become a bigger and bigger problem as...
God,
yeah,
Illidan.
Yes.
Has there ever been a Razor
dead.
more dead than that Razor? Because I think not. Oh, that's a Midas on Funnick, by the way.
Interesting to see Nyx go for that build, but when you're far ahead, I mean, why not?
It's actually super good. Like, the thing about Nyx, all his spells scale amazingly well. Like, Mana Burn, probably one of the best scaling spells in Dota, period. 8 seconds off the cooldown every time, and the int to damage multiplier goes up, so it goes from like 3.5 to 5 per int in terms of damage. So,
and in addition to that, Nyx has become more valuable with farm than he used to be because of the new Ags.
Yeah,
so now you want to get that extra core item that really can make a big difference.
Middle lane, he's going to get picked off here. G does not have any points into Edict though, so they're not really able to pressure the tower as heavily as maybe they would have liked. They do end up trading the tier 1 and the safe lane in the meantime. Now teleport coming in here from NaVi. Call down is going to land. Nighttime Vision. Ooh, that's stun. Very, very close.
Still holds the tower. for NaVi, so not even losing a tower in that exchange. It means they're losing a position 5 hero for a tier 1. That's a really good trade. They keep the pressure up as VP are looking for more blood in the mid lane. This could backfire if they're not careful.
Okay.
No.
This is really risky from VP. They want this tower so badly. G finally hit level 10, so he has a point into Edict now. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to secure it. By the way,
he got a casual ring on Razor.
I was just about to mention that, and I was like...
What did he get it for? He was laning against the Nyx.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you need the regen for?
Sure, that seems a little bit odd.
I mean, he can go back for pipe later.
He might have just changed his plan. Like...
But is having an Aghanims or like a casual... Is it going to be casual ring, casual point booster into something else?
And then BKB.
Because finishing Aghanims doesn't really even seem that good.
I agree.
It's going to be hitting Chen creeps probably most of the time.
Yeah, I don't think Axe is very good either. He might just be looking for some bang for his buck right now, expecting that they will have to fight NaVi. But it seems like a very risky build-up where, what if NaVi just don't fight? Like, then you're stuck with a point booster that doesn't increase your farm rate at all. You have 2 incomplete items, so... Then your point booster becomes relatively like weaker with every minute, and could turn out to just be a big waste of gold all in all. It's first.
This could be a nice pick. They drop the Echo Slam on him. Stun though from Funnick. The lightning comes out from G. Managed to get that kill. G though in some trouble. Has a 13 charge wand. Mecha's going to be popped by Phobos as well. Funnick almost went for that Vendetta, but not quite. FNG gets a disruption off. On then he forces him away. Art style. He's going to get vacuumed back. Here comes the stun into the fissure, and they managed to get 2 there.
And also at tier 1. This is...
That's a good turnaround.
Like, is this game 1 again? Like,
I wouldn't put it past
it's game 1 again.
To be able to play that well, to come back from a... What I would even say could be a larger deficit than the first game. Like, not in terms of like the graph itself, but the way that the game was flowing and how it felt for VP, that they were so far behind because of the Chen ganks, and their Lush just had a brutal start. But with that being said, G is still sitting on a Vitality booster. He's got his Arcane Boots and 1,800 gold. Where does this guy find his money? Like, how does he actually have this much?
He's been jungling quite a bit, I guess.
I mean, he's been involved in 6 of the 7 kills on his team, so I'm guessing a majority of that. They did get the kill streak on Dendi mid. I think it was a mega kill, so he got credit for that.
And I think a lot of his deaths didn't cost much gold either. So if you take that out of the equation, like if you imagine, let's say the deaths cost him 0 gold, then he would be 2-0-4 with 83 CS. And of course it's cost him a little bit, but it's so early on that those deaths, maybe you lose like 100 or 200 per death, so...
Yeah, it's not so bad, I guess.
It's not that bad.
I think the bigger worry right now for VP is, how do we deal with NaVi doing Roshan? Because it seems very tempting to try to fight that, but you don't have your Shaker Blink yet. Lil just sitting on the Soul Ring and the Tranks. He's still like 1,700 away, still getting farm priority too. Illidan, of course, is playing that Razor. But I guess Phobos is kind of the dark horse. You mentioned him a bit earlier. He's not really done too much in terms of getting kills, but he does have mech and 2,000 gold on top of his Arcane Boots, so we could be looking at a fairly early Blink timing, which could be really good in teamfights.
Yeah, and worth noting, in the previous game, actually, when Phobos, he played Darkseer in that game too.
Yep.
He also went Arcane's mech in that game, right? He never got Greaves.
Yes.
Which is actually really interesting for that game. I think in this game it's a better call not getting Greaves, but in that game the armor would have been sick. I'm actually not sure why he didn't do that, come to think of it.
I think the Greave choice is kind of a... It's a catch-22, because sometimes you actually buy Greaves when you want another item. Like, take, for example, when Alliance were playing their elimination game, and fucking Mad finished Greaves instead of going BKB. I think that Greave purchase actually hurt a lot.
I would definitely agree with that, but let's say he gets Blink first. Then I still think it's a really valuable purchase for his cost.
Oh, FNG, he's going to get lifted here. Pulled onto the tower, vacuum, and wall onto 3/4 into BKB, into the Echo Slam, but that's double stun! They're both going to drop immediately from the Sonic Wave and the Impale damage. He's trying to take a Habos before they fall. Illidan still got quite a bit of health left. Can he go for the TP? He's going to try to do so. Funnick, he does not have his Impale off cooldown just yet. Ends up being a 4 for 2, so VP not quite winning that engagement. Funnick, though, if he didn't get that turnaround stun, that could have went a lot worse.
That's just the power of Hand of God and mech as well. They got so much health back there. And I think, oh wow, Darkseer didn't even get the mech off in that fight either. That's a pretty big deal when you're looking at that. He got burst from full to 0.
Yeah, he got stunned and mana burned, and then he just couldn't really do anything. The BKB from Dendi also came in huge, because the follow-up wasn't so fast that he couldn't BKB between it, and then he was also able to blink away, which allowed him to
TP, they see it though.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to do much here. Thankfully,
reach the disruption on Funnick here.
Oh,
he's sent back.
I think he went for the purge there instead of the disruption. Oh no, he just realized he got sent home. Never mind. definitely no point in doing
He
that.
could have purged.
Yeah, that's true. He actually could have purged.
If he saw that in time, he could have just removed it. That was changed a couple of versions ago. I can't remember how long. That's sent back as purgeable. So
Yep.
an interesting interaction we haven't talked about just yet with how Shadow Demon fares against Chen, especially in the mid game. That actually becomes really important and could play a role if FNG makes the big play at the right time.
And he played very well on Drubic in the first game, so I wouldn't put it past him to have a similar performance on the Shadow Demon in this game. Although I would say it's a harder game to play for him personally than it was in the first one, because he had Jakkuchi mobility, and without that, it's very tough. Nice Sentry Ward, though. They're going to spot out Funnick here. He's going to pop the Carapace, gets Fissure blocked, though. Are they going to be able to take him down before anything big happens here? Stun onto Illidan. A vacuum in the wall on all 5. The call down dealing quite a bit of damage to VP, though, forcing him back under the tower. What a wall combo, but it just doesn't really do that much. If anything, it only saves VP from getting run over.
Yeah, it's a really great vac into the wall, and if they follow up with Lesh, that's a 5-man wipe.
Yes.
But he's not in position because the vacuum kind of pulled them away from the fight. So it's really great for his own play, but not so much for the team combination there. And well, if nothing else, they at least saved Illidan, who would have probably died there committing to that next kill.
The stolen wall causing a little bit of problems here from VP. They're like,
Nice
well,
X.
we kind of want to fight, but walking through the wall probably not the best choice. I gotta say though, I am very impressed with VP's resilience. Like even in the worst of circumstances for their mid, it's like G is somewhat of a comeback player in my opinion. Like he still manages to make things happen even under the worst circumstances.
And he didn't used to be that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the really impressive thing for me, is that he has really changed that. Oh, another good back into Fissure.
Yeah, they're going to start this fight. Brilliant disruption, actually stopping the Sonic Wave and the cooldown damage. Phobos will still eventually go down. The Tier 1 dies in the process. Dendi walking forward like he wants more, but the rest of his team, unfortunately, not close enough to follow up. They're going to go back in. They want to find Art Style. They're going to throw out the Lightning. They get 1 kill here. G now running back. Fissure comes out as well. Sonic go very low. Can G get the double? He can! He manages to get 2 Bloodstone charges to his name. So again, NaVi still edging out a tiny bit because they get the tower. But G, he is making his way back into this game.
VP's lineup is just so ridiculously good for these defensive team fights, where they have some of the best counter initiate in the game. Like they don't just have like one, but they have 2 or 3 abilities that are ridiculously good. They have Disruption, they have Fissure, and they have Darksaber with a blink. Like Vacuum is also a really good counter initiate tool. So it's so difficult for NaVi to go in. It almost seems like the team that initiates loses the fight.
Yeah.
So you need to be very crisp on your engages. Speaking of engage, mid lane.
Yeah, they really want this. G goes in, he throws out the Lightning onto Havos. The Demonic Purge is there as well. Fissure and the Vacuum over the Fissure into the wall. They're going to find Havos. Funnick on full retreat. Dendi now going to be forced to blink high ground from that static link. I got to say, man, the coordination coming out from VP in this mid game, they are just slowly but surely chipping away at NaVi's lead.
G has 11 Bloodstone charges. Like, this is a...
He's even getting kind of close to BKB.
Yeah.
He's got Ogre Club plus 1100 gold.
He got killed 4 times in lane, and he has the same net worth as Dendi now.
I mean, if we're talking in terms of kills versus deaths, he's completely recovered. Like, he goes 5-5-5 now from a 0-4 deficit. Very impressive. Interesting to note, he actually opted out of skilling the second point into his Pulse Nova. I mean, it's 1-for-1, I think. Or no, it's actually not 1-for-1, but the mana cost in terms of damage you gain, I guess, is still less efficient. So maybe he just wanted Edict for being able to kill towers as they're starting to take fights successfully now.
He's also barely used the Nova, I think, in this game. Most of the time he's fighting from a distance, because committing into Navi's lineup is super scary. This is how you generally want to play against Nyx until you have a BKB. So the 1 point in Pulse Nova he got was a really good value point, just in case. But yeah, well, I guess in that way you could say the same for Edict, right? But it's still a farming tool that you can obviously also use to push towers. So
Well, Edict scales like pretty linear, right? It's like 9 damage every
it's
level.
entirely linear.
Yeah. Well, some farm priority being given to Lil. We should also mention that this Shaker is going to have Blink in the next team fight. Or the next big engagement, I should say. Maybe not necessarily the first skirmish.
Oh, FNG looking for disruption again?
Oh, Phobos blinks forward, almost got the vac off. Dendi a little bit too fast on the blink, but once he gets that blink dagger, I actually think that VP are just back in the game completely. Like, it's not even like NaVi had a lead anymore, it's just ground zero.
I think they're behind.
You think NaVi are behind or VP are behind?
Navi are behind when Shaker gets the blink. Like,
Okay, yeah.
they're playing a lineup now where they have a Rubik and a Chen, and if these 2 heroes don't, like, they could very quickly...
Oh, they catch
get on the
Sonic
back
go.
foot. Yeah, he is dead.
He's not going to even be able to steal Surge. Phobos applying the Ion Shell to himself. Gets caught out in the woods there. Illidan secures that kill. Another Bloodstone charge going the way of G. And he is 1,200 gold away from BKB.
And what Na'Vi need to accomplish now is they need to buy time for versus BKB, because I feel like in every single fight he's a call down and that's it. He can't go in. There's so much AoE damage and stun that he just gets blown up every single time without having much of an impact. The other heroes on Na'Vi are actually looking pretty good compared to the norm, but he's having a hard
caught
game.
out. Lil has Echo if he wants to use it. The stun from G, they are going to end up using it. I thought for a second they might hold it, but Lil ensures that kill goes his way, and his Blink Dagger immediately pays for itself.
And Hand of God even expended there from Art Style. If VP saw that, he might feel even more confident about the next team fight. Yeah, this is... The reason it's scary for Na'Vi, in my opinion, is that I was talking about how in this game, when it comes to the mid-game, the Chen is a lot weaker than we saw against Alliance, with all the wave clear and their ways of dealing with creeps. And Artstyle had a great early game, but they didn't transition it into much of a lead. Like, the whole time they were not ahead by more than about 2,000, almost 3,000 gold, which isn't that big of a deal. And now he's stuck minute 25 with Guardian Greaves only as a result. He has very low farm for a Chen, 50 CS minute 26. That's been his priority in the game. Don't blame him for it. But the fights haven't been going well enough. And then the other support you have on the team is a Rubik, who is super fragile. He has, of course, the opportunity to make big plays, but just as much, if he gets caught out, he is just dead meat instantly and provides nothing. So
yeah,
it's a difficult situation for Na'Vi to be in, where I feel like when it comes to execution, their lineup is a lot harder to play right now than VP's is.
Yeah, I would actually fully agree with that. And I think that can just be the key in being able to take a game, is when the other team feels so under the gun, like that, okay, we have to do something, and our team is also more difficult to execute, that you're more prone to making mistakes. So if Na'Vi... We haven't even seen a single Roshan attempt, by the way, 26 minutes in.
Yeah.
And Na'Vi had a substantial lead in the early game. Do you feel like it might have been a mistake to not prioritize that sooner?
I thought, yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I thought they definitely were in a position where when Chen got level 7 and had the mech, they could have probably just gone there with 4 creeps. And what you do is you either force VP to rotate and try to fight, or you obviously get the Rosh. But fighting into Na'Vi at the Rosh pit might seem not that difficult when you have like really good AoE abilities like they do. But it's always tricky engaging into the Rosh pit when there's Nyx on the enemy team, and Funnick might have been able to mess them up. So I would agree Na'Vi should have definitely tried for that earlier. And now, at this point,
it seems
Rosh
actually
is
impossible.
Be really hard.
Like with BKB being done on G, how do you actually fight anymore as Na'Vi? Like you need some way of opening up on G to where he doesn't get disrupted or BKB'd, and that seems impossible. Like how is either FNG going to be that far out of position, or G going to get caught out without having the reaction time to pop that BKB? But Na'Vi...
Oh, they're actually going to break the smoke here with Lil.
That hurts so bad. Oh my god, does that hurt? They're even going to get a fissure.
They
want to try to fight on this. Dendi, he's going to pop his BKB. They're baiting out the Shadow Demon as long as they can. The BKBs both pop by Na'Vi. If they just disengage, VP might be able to turn this one around. They are going to lose their Shadow Demon in the process. The Demonic Purge was used, though, before he drops. And now Illidan, he wants more. He wants to force the engagement from Na'Vi because they know that they have the... Oh, the blink into the Echo Slam with the vacuum. It's 2 quick kills. Sonico and Artstyle just evaporating. And now VP hanging around the Rosh pit, thinking about if they want to try to do it. I think it's too risky for now. They'll just go ahead and back off.
Absolutely. And do you feel like this Yules on Nyx has been any useful this game at all? I feel like I don't even know if I've seen it used once.
I think it's okay against the team with the Darkseer. You can obviously use it to dispel Surge, and plus it's nice for being able to guarantee a stun. And if you find out the Shaker, for example, you don't have to necessarily expend your stun, and you can save it for like a defensive disruption and guarantee that you land it. Yeah,
barely getting out.
Very close.
Now, for me, the counterpoint is you're comparing this Yules to Blink.
Yeah.
Right, that would be the obvious alternative. Yes. And I feel like when you look at how the fights are developing, being able to blink stun to counter-initiate against VP's openers, and in order to, find another way to catch Lesh off guard, where currently the only way they do that is with Blink Lift from Rubik, who will definitely get himself killed in the process.
Yeah, I think Blink...
I don't know, and now he's even going Ags, so...
Just having Carapace against that team. Like, you have Ion Shell, you have Shaker with random AoE spells like Fissure and Enchant, and then you have, like, anything that Lesh does, basically, will stun him. So you can actually just use Carapace as a setup for you. So you just pop it, you blink in, you guarantee a stun on a couple of heroes, and then you just follow it up very easily. So I do think that Blink could have been the option here, but given the way that the game was going, he bought that Voidstone ages ago. Like, the problem was they had such good momentum, and then VP take really good skirmishes, like, multiple times, and then all of a sudden, the item doesn't really seem like it has as much value. Like, right here, he'll be able to get a stun off, and it guarantees no blink. They might even be able to burst down Lil, but unfortunately, no cooldown on the Sonic Wave. He's going to BKB from Dendi, throws out one more auto attack, and G just going to go ahead and chase everyone out. But they're going to surge G forward. Doesn't look like he wants to pursue this out anymore.
Dendi's BKB is dropping really low, and he has not got that much out of the last couple of
Middle
BKB
lane.
charges.
Yeah, FNG drops here very quickly. Illidan needs to be careful. Dendi very low on mana, though. Not going to be able to contribute a whole lot to this team fight, and the rest of VP are going to be soon to follow. They want to try to make something happen here. Navi still in the area. BKB available on Havos. He does throw out a rocket. Maybe not the choice. They are also going to send home Dendi.
Oh, he feels forced to use a BKB as well. These BKBs on Navi are dropping really low. This is very good news for the Leshrac in particular.
I honestly think...
I feel like they lost the grip on this game entirely. Like, they're only 3,000 golden experience behind, which isn't that much, but looking at the win condition for their team, do they even scale better into late game? Like,
I don't think so.
It's got to be a Rapier from Kvost and a Refresher from Dendi before they really start having the damage that they need, I feel, as the Razor and Leshrac will be getting innately very tanky, and there's so much counter-initiate and ways of just... you know, disruption and fissure like we talked about before, to just buy time.
They lack so much control on the side of NaVi. Like, the majority of their control actually comes from Funnick, and as we mentioned, he didn't opt to go for Blink. So not being able to get himself into the middle of the fight and land what could be very easy multiple stun. Like, honestly, because of the Carapace setup with Ion Shell, you can easily hit 2 or 3 heroes every single time.
Yeah, and that was not for Calldown and Sonic, right?
Yeah.
It's what they've been missing, I feel, in this draft, because you were making the point that when he bought the Voidstone, it was looking really good for Na'Vi, and that is definitely the case. But if you're ahead, wouldn't you want to get the Blink even more then? Like, just to stay ahead?
I don't know. I guess you could argue either way. For me, the Euls synergizes with the Midas in that it kind of delays the game a bit, and you have a stranglehold on the game. So delaying the game when you have a huge lead, as long as you continue playing at the same level and pressure the other team, it's okay. But I do agree with the sentiment that buying a Blink Dagger just ensures that every time you take an engagement, you're going to be 10 times more effective. And I haven't really seen the usefulness of the Euls, so I can't really argue for it. I do think that, in hindsight, Blink would have been way better.
I'm wondering if there's something I'm missing, like that it would be really good for here. Like, there's just some incredible use of it that we're not seeing. Because, in my opinion, Funnick is generally spot on with every single item pickup he does. He very rarely, in my opinion, makes mistakes on builds. As bottom lane... blowing up the Shaker. What's the trade going to be, though? Soneko, most likely going to fall to Phobos here. He will. And it's just a flat-out 1-for-1.
G almost caught out Dendi with a stun there. A little bit too slow. TP is going to be able to get him to safety. They are going to...
again. He's down to 5 seconds, only 32 minutes.
chase, and Dendi loves being the impact player. So just because of his particular style, like I'm in full agreement with you when you said it's just his item, like the way that he likes to do it. So you are going to have to pay for that eventually. And unfortunately, those BKB charges have not netted Na'Vi much of anything. FNG.
Lane disruption.
Yeah, Illidan going in. This could be a little bit overzealous, but our style just evaporates. Funnick, he gets the Euls off onto Illidan, who immediately BKBs. Phobos comes in. He gets the double vacuum. Havos trying to TP away. The damage is too much. Edict, of course, going through BKB and that Link. 112 bonus damage for Illidan. And with Aghanims, they actually don't have a bad high ground team at all with the Edict.
I think this is a lane of Rex, even. There's no buyback on Gyro or Chen. There's no Sonic Wave. All the ultimates of Na'Vi are on cooldown. They don't really stand a chance in this fight, I think.
Teleport back, coming in. Funnick.
Oh, nice stun.
Yeah.
Might buy them time.
I mean, the thing is, the mana burn being leveled up so far right now actually makes Funnick a very good high ground defense mechanism. Just being able to spam mana burn. Heroes don't have mana. They feel very less inclined to fight. Like, you don't want to go high ground with no mana to use spells, but...
Edict again.
He really needs that Aghanims too. Like, increasing the range of his spells would help so much in this situation, but unfortunately he's still around 700 gold away, and as you said, they are just getting their Raxes chipped down. Funnick, he gets out one more mana burn. Demonic Purge going to be going off on the Dendi along with a Soul Catcher, and that's enough pressure to secure VP the Rax. I mean, I guess the question is, what is Navi's counterplay? Like, how do you come out of that engagement and say, this is what we need to do? We need to maybe try to fight around Roshan, maybe try to sneak at Roshan. VP have got to know, though. Like, there's no way, I think, that Na'Vi do anything without VP fully reading the situation.
I think you wait for the Ags on Nyx, and then you try to play around that. See if you can get some nice impales with a surprise factor of him being burrowed somewhere when a fight's about to break out, and maybe take advantage of that.
It's great high
It's
ground
just-
defense. Like that's the big thing. But the problem is, since he doesn't have blink or force, he's going to have a very hard time positioning himself properly
Yes.
for Burrow.
Oh, Dendy's very close to Hex as well, by the way. I think this for me is not the smoke timing. They have two big items that they're 300 gold off, and they're going to engage before they get them. The threat of VP going Roche there, I don't think is that big. They don't have the best Roche lineup, and they would probably be able to, like, they might even be intimidated by the fact that Navi could just, you know, scout them out with Nyx or whatnot. Well, they will use the smoke to farm, basically. Dendy should be claiming his Hex after this, the wave after this one. And Nyx only 100 away, so they will be getting those items. Trading a tier 2 for it, I think, is worth it. They have to get it in. 35-minute SNY on Gyro.
Not the best timing.
Not a fan.
I don't know
I
what else he
understand where
buys,
he's coming from. Like, he really wants the mobility and some sort of tankiness. But if
though.
there's
Just
one
straight up
thing,
MKB.
if there's one thing Navi are lacking right now, it's DPS. Like,
Yeah.
it just seems like they won't be able to kill these heroes. The biggest damage dealer in Navi right now is Mana Burn. It's actually what's going to win them the fights. If anything.
Magonims is now picked up by Funnex. See if he can get himself into a good burrow spot. Throw out a couple of mana burns, and the damage from that is insane. Funnex, he's gonna get static linked here, forced to retreat out of his burrow. Call down gonna be popped as well. G though, with that BKB, Illidan as well. They want to try to get the tier 3 before these BKBs wear off, and they do so. Phobos coming in, a little bit of a slow combo, but he still manages to hit it on 2. The Echo Slam actually missing here from Lil. That could be the turnaround that Navi need. Defensive disruption coming out from FNG buys him some time. Lil going to absolutely evaporate once he comes back out. What else can Navi get from this surge? Coming out onto Illidan. Dendy blinks forward. He's going to eat a Purge. Soul Catcher going off onto Funnex. Another stun coming out from him as well. FNG is going to be dying. And the process suicide from G. Not going to give the satisfaction of Navi getting a kill there. And Illidan barely makes it out. That was a close TP.
What a really, really valuable spike carapace that was from Funnex, by the way. The lightning was bouncing to him, so right before Dendy gets hit by the Split Earth, giving VP a possibility of a turnaround kill, Lesh actually gets stunned mid-animation on his Split Earth from his own Lightning Storm. And then afterwards, a great suicide play from G as well. Not only denying Navi the goal, but actually just barely keeping Razor alive. So some really good plays from both sides.
You kind of got to put all of that on the Shaker, though, right? Like, if that double Echo lands, that fight is over.
Yeah,
Like, those
it
heroes
really
are
is.
instantly dead. But now it gives Navi the opportunity to even pressure Roshan here. Their team isn't super good at doing it, though. Nobody having lifesteal. Eventually going to be forced back. BKB popped here by Illidan. Funnex just retreating into his burrow. You take a lot less damage, by the way, when you're inside of this thing. Pops the carapace to stun up 2. Illidan still manages to find Chen on the backline. Now Funnex is getting his way out of here. But they kind of got Roshan to half health for Virtus Pro, and I don't really think they have any way of contesting it now.
No. They are very far away from the fight. It's going to be incredibly obvious for VP as well if Navi start moving in, because they have a wave inside the Navi base. And they will be claiming it here. You just give this Aegis to Lesh, and he is going to be a nightmare for Navi to deal with. Killing him twice is very hard. In addition to this, Illidan will now be getting... Yeah, this game is almost just over. Like, he got a refresher now. He'll just be walking into the base, double BKB, and it's not even the 5-second one yet. So his BKB will actually be 13 seconds long, is 7 into 6 with refresher, with double ult on. They get the racks for free. Oh, actually, there is a glyph, so maybe Navi have hope if they time it perfectly, and they do get a pipe on Rubik. This is actually a very key item, so might have spoken a bit too soon. They do have the potential of holding this, but it's got to be really, really crisp.
Well, Funnex, he's in actually a very good position here. His Impale and Mana Burn both reach to the bottom of the ramp, pretty much, side of this burrow. So he will be able to, if anything, be a giant nuisance to the enemy team. And we're going to see a Stolen Vacuum actually into an Impale. The combo is real coming out from Navi. They pop the Aegis, 2 down already. Razor and FNG not going to be in this fight at all. G does not care, though. He's walking forward. He's got the BKP popped with the Midnight Pulse inside of the base. He's going to kill 2 all on his own. They will find Lil in the back. G now in some trouble here. Funnex, he's got the Mana Burn available. He's going to use the Carapace to stun. Burrows down, throws out another Impale, and Navi, in seemingly impossible situations, that's Stolen Vacuum. Like,
yeah, Soneko with the play. Well, Soneko and Funnex with the beautiful combo play. They're triple.
any other spell.
Yeah, any other spell. Any other spell
Would not have worked.
Wow. That was a really sick hold. And what was used from... Alright, Razor never even got to use his BKB or refresh. He just got destroyed in one go. So much burst damage out from Navi there. Very, very nice hold from them.
Is this the standard insert never doubt Navi on land phase? I mean, it's fitting, right? all these players have tremendous line experience. I guess Sonico being maybe the one with the least, but still.
It just brings you back, like for Navi, they would very often pick the Darkseer themselves, and they would be so good at these combo plays with even into uncharacteristic stun combos. Like usually you have something like Vacuum into, for example, a Shaker, which is very standard, but they would also run these oddball strategies with Vacuum into Impales or into even Light Strike Arrays and stuff like that. And you just see it here, really good combination play with Funnick on the Nyx.
How is it that
Impressive
both of these
stuff.
teams, in like ridiculous situations, always manage to pull it through? It just seems like these games get delayed for so long, no matter how much one team is leading, and how both will be able to TP himself out of this hairy situation here inside of the Roche pit. But very impressive stuff coming out from Navi in both games. They are leading 1-0 right now. Would be match point for them if they can manage to turn this one around.
Now here's the problem for Navi. They have to do it again.
Yes.
And they do not have Vacuum this time.
There's
And she
no
just got an
Vacuum.
Octarine core. So...
Good God.
And with Razor not using the BKB in that fight, he still has 13 seconds of magic immunity. The good news for Navi is they didn't have to use their glyph.
Funnick's prepared for this, though.
It's going to be ridiculous if they can do this 2 times in a row. We'll see.
Gets the
Good
stun.
damage out on Illidan.
Yeah, call down coming in. Sonico just going in for some kind of a steal. Hasn't gotten anything just yet. Illidan's still sitting about half health. Echo coming in on 2, though. The lift and the vacuum right into the stun and the wall. That's on 4. Triple kill for Illidan. Dendi dealing what damage he can. He's going to be forced to retreat, though. And now the Rack's under siege. No buybacks at all on the side of Navi. And it seems like not having that vacuum wombo combo is going to be all it takes for VP to just crush the high ground.
Yeah, they did not even manage to get 2 he did get 2 BKBs on the Lesh, but not 2 ultimates. He didn't have the mana after using Refresher. The mana burn from Nyx disallowing him from getting the double ult off, but they didn't even need it. Really, really good play from Lil with the Blink Echo. They didn't set it up with the Vacuum because they didn't need it. The Navi team was already in a good position for Lil, and then a little bit uncharacteristic to follow an Echo Slam up with a Vacuum into the wall, but I mean, whatever works, right?
Yeah, it all worked out in the end, and Illidan, he is not going to have his ultimate up, unfortunately, and Funnick just being a nuisance here, throwing out some stuns and mana burns, but tower still under siege. 22 seconds left on the gyrocopter right now. G pops a BKB, or a step away there from Lil. And Dendi trying to deal some damage, but he's even forced to pop his BKB. Funnick's going to get spotted out here too. Demonic Purge, BKB pop by Illidan, not going to get stunned out. Goes back into the burrow for the damage reduction for the time being. Going to see Disruption come out as well. Sonico back in the fight, throws out a lift, going for a spell steal, gets Ion Shell. Maybe not the steal that he wants here. And I think this is just Megas. One more vacuum comes out. Funnick still inside of his burrow. Not really taking a whole lot of damage. There is a huge damage reduction.
It's a good call down.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get 1 kill here. Phobos tried to search away, not going to be successful. Teleport out coming in from FNG, and he is not going to be dropping here. But Dendi blinking forward, aggressive lead. They do manage to get the Razor, though. Not trading his own life. G sitting here, going to be forced to suicide. His BKB came off cooldown, but he just didn't have any mana left. I mean, your base is pretty much in shambles if you're Navi. Is this just the 5-man, go for the YOLO play, try to do one more thing?
Do you remember that really good vacuum combo Navi had at the bottom lane?
Yes.
They're going to need to do that 10 times in a row.
Okay, 10 times in a row, plausible. Could happen, right?
Very low chance play.
Very low chance. But
Maybe not
sometimes-
10 times. If they can win like 5 really convincing team fights in a row, maybe they can start looking at racks. Even then, like this is
A Funnick, though.
This is
He's got a
impossible
DD.
territory.
I think he can actually get a solo kill here.
Yep.
And he's going to go for FNG. Fissure coming out very fast, and the Glimmer Cape coming out. Didn't actually line up to stun fast enough. FNG going to drop the Sentry Ward, throws out the Purge as well. Low coming in, gets the Enchant Totem, and the Echo just says, screw you, get out of here. Bug equals squished. Navi just maybe talking it over a little bit.
Yeah, they're getting a Rapier on Quost and 50 gold.
Yeah,
And
then it's
Dendi
just
got a
all in.
Lance, so they can hold.
Is the Rapier even enough damage?
No.
I was thinking to myself,
Well, it's
how many
enough for the team fight, but
how many games have you actually said where Rapier's not enough? Like, we need more Rapiers. Habos actually should just sell all his items by Rapiers.
double Rapiers, let's go.
Just turn into Enfos, right? You sit in your base, you just auto-attack creeps as they come in and hope for the best.
You know, when you're playing Enfos and the creeps are this strong, it generally ends the same way. The
Yeah.
creeps tend to win in the end.
That is true. Just say no offensive spells and I'll chat. Then you're good.
Yeah, he's going to need to go and trade some gold for lumber and look for one of those ridiculous items that gives like 1,000 armor and
My God.
200% lifesteal.
That would be the dream.
Yeah. Even then, he would still die to magic damage.
That's very true. VP looking to seal things up here in game number 2. Right now, NaVi, they are Megit. They're trying their best to defend, and there is a rapier available on Havost. He is sitting in the front of the base, so this is actually like one of the worst spots he could possibly be right now, but he doesn't know. They're going to spot him out. He gets hit by a fissure. Where's the stun lock? The stun lock is there. He's not going to be able to pop the BKB. Defensive Disruption comes out. Illidan pops a refresher, has double ultimate going along with the BKB himself, and I think with the rapier on deck, that's just going to be all she wrote. No buyback at all on Havost, and I think VP has sealed the game, and they call it Virtus Pro. They tie up the winner bracket finals here at the Asus RG Dream League 1-1.
And another really good game. NaVi with a great start once more. This time they were not able to pull it out in the end. They lost a hell of a lot of momentum in the mid game. Their Chen became a liability. The Rubik, apart from that really big vacuum play in the base, didn't have much of an impact here. And I think in this particular game, Havost actually